Hi, my name is Jimmy Williams with NFL Draft Diamonds, and today I have with me Silas Kelly. He's a linebacker out of Coastal Carolina. How you doing, man?
Good. How are you?
Doing
Appreciate you
well.
having me on here.
Hey, man. You're one of these guys that I could talk to, pretty much any time. But I mean, definitely nice to sit down with you and have this interview for sure. So, why don't you go ahead and give us a little bit of a backdrop as to you and your career, if you don't mind. Tell us where you're from and just how you got there to Coastal.
Yeah, for sure. So I was raised in Mount Airy, Maryland. I went to South Carroll High School, coached by Steve Lewett and Mike Kraus. Um, I was getting recruited my junior year. Started to going to camps and stuff like that. Ended up committing to University of Maryland to play safety. Um, and then they had a coaching change during my senior year, which made that kind of fall through. So ended up coming down to Coastal Carolina. I was recruited by Jerome Cox down here, played for Joe Moglia and then Jamie Chadwell. So I also played basketball and ran track in high school as well. So that was good. And then Coastal Carolina got here in 2016. We were in a transition year. We were moving up to FBS, coming up from the Big South. Uh, so I redshirted my freshman year, and then from 2017 until 2021, I was fortunate to start, be a starter for all those years, um, and we struggled a little bit at first. First year we went 3-9, and then consecutive 5-7 seasons before we broke it out of the water in 2020. Went 11-1, and then I think we went 11-2 this past season. So yeah, that's kind of the roadmap of how I got here.
So let's talk about that success that you guys have had recently, if you don't mind. I mean, walk me through like the chemistry and the bond that you guys were able to have, and all the great talent there at Coastal. Just kind of walk me through that, if you don't mind.
Yeah, absolutely. So yeah, when I got here, we obviously we were moving up, and we knew it was going to be a challenge. The class that I came in with, I think, was really special because we were the first class that was, an FBS recruiting class, and so we knew what we were kind of up with, the odds that we're going against, and trying to compete at a new level brings its own challenges and trials and whatnot. So we kind of felt a little bit of those growing pains, and had a really young team for the first few seasons, and a lot of us got a lot of experience and playing time. And when you go through tough stuff together, and losing's not fun, it kind of brings you together. And so it we ended up the guys that stuck around, we ended up real close, and we knew what we had to do. Each year we got better and better and got closer and closer. And the gap between us and our competition kept getting smaller and smaller before 2020. But that year leading up to the 2020 season, um, we all knew that we had something special cooking. We knew we had the players to have a great season and have a great team, and we were the only ones that knew it. We were picked to finish last in the division leading up to that season, and nobody thought we were going to be worth anything, and kind of blew everybody out of the water when we had an undefeated regular season in that year. And it's a testament to the tough times that we went through, the great leadership that we had within the team, and through our coach Jamie Chadwell, and everybody that's a part of our staff. Kind of brought our team together, and made us believe in something bigger than ourselves, and made us work together as a team, and love each other, and get to a point where we're playing not for our teammates but for our brothers out there. So that was a huge component of our success. And you'd be hard pressed to find a team that loves each other as much and has as much fun as we did and do on a day-to-day basis. So that's kind of the little synopsis of how it happened.
Gotcha. Let's steer back to you, if you don't mind, you as a prospect. I mean, I do find it kind of interesting, you saying that you were recruited as a safety at one point or another, which I think is very, very odd for a guy of your particular size. And to just kind of recap your size, we are looking at a guy about 6'4", 230 pounds. So I don't necessarily think of a safety, at that size. I mean, I think of a linebacker, outside linebacker, dude, even an edge rusher. So describe who you are as a prospect and where you might see yourself transitioning to the next level.
Yeah, I've always been big into sports. Played sports my whole life. Always loved competing. Always loved, competition. I always wanted to be the best at whatever it was I was doing. And that led to me. I'm blessed with parents that loved sports and played sports growing up, and blessed with some good genetics that made me pretty athletic. And so I was always a very good athlete, and one of the best players on my team for whatever it was I was playing. So to be as tall as I am, and back in high school I was only about 200 pounds, so a little slimmer back then. So
Okay,
that's probably
that's
where
fair.
yeah, it's probably where the safety came in. But um, yeah, I got to college and put on about 30 pounds my freshman year, and
Don't we
I actually
all?
went. Yeah, right. um, Fortunately for me, that was the plan. So, um, but I came in as a linebacker, played linebacker, and in terms of the next level, I think I transitioned very well as a versatile guy. You're getting a guy who's played linebacker for 4 or 5 years and at a college level, at Division I level, who's got the knowledge and experience to lead a defense and make checks and make calls and adjustments on the fly. But at the same time, you got a guy who's kind of in that sweet spot of being able to, help in pass coverage and athletic enough to move around in space, but also big enough and strong enough to where I could get down on the edge and come off the edge a little bit. I got a pass rush ability, so I feel like it's a win-win-win for whoever wants to pick me up and have me on their team. I feel like I'll be able to contribute in a lot of different ways, and that's not even to mention special teams. I feel like I'll be a starter on all special teams. Given my frame, my work ethic, and my body type.
Gotcha. I mean, I can't agree with you more, with all those things that you had mentioned. I mean, obviously versatility, certainly helps. I don't. I want to say you played a little bit of everything there at linebacker. I mean, we could probably put you there on the interior, on the outside at Will or Sam. So, and yeah, I mean, that's certainly helps. Project to the next level at in almost any scheme. So anybody could take you and use you in any way. So um, the other thing that I feel like you got going for yourself is character and leadership. So let's talk about leadership there for a little bit. I mean, you were one of your team's captains. Talk to me about you and your leadership skills, if you don't mind.
Yeah, for sure. I feel like I've always kind of been a leader. Not that I've always tried to be a leader, but like growing up, I always was a leader. I always took charge in group projects in school, and I always, if we were going through a tough time in a game, I always, took command and tried to lead my guys or whoever it was I was working with. And then once I started noticing that, tried to really embrace it. And coming into college, I felt like I had a good idea of what it takes to succeed and the type of team and the type of players and atmosphere and culture that you need to be successful. And I would just try to steer guys towards that. As a young guy, it's kind of hard to do because you don't have much ground to stand on yet. But I try to lead by example in everything that I do, whether it's in the classroom, off the field, in workouts, in the weight room. I try to, you know, keep myself to the highest standard and try to bring people up to that standard as well. So that's kind of my leadership skills and strategy. Like I feel like I'm good with people. I feel like I'm good with guys on the team. I feel like I'm good with connecting to different types of people and different, certain people take leadership, want like they need to be screamed at, and you need to get on them and get them going. And certain people, you need to just sit them down and have a conversation with them and be a little bit more calm. So just figuring out the type of guys that you have on your team and who responds to what best, I feel like is what leadership is all really about. And that's kind of the stuff that I've tried to develop through my years at Coastal.
So, and just to kind of follow up with that, I mean, again, when it comes to things like character, you know, to me, I've always wanted a player that I you know that I could follow like through battle. And I know you've been battle tested. You've been through a whole lot there at Coastal. I know you have a couple of different examples of this, but describe a time in your life when you were able to overcome one of those struggles.
Yeah, absolutely. So I'll talk about 2019 was a pretty rough year for me in terms of football. So beginning of the season, first game of the year, I broke my hand and finished playing the game. Whatever, they put a cast on it at halftime, and got it put in a huge club because I didn't want my fingers hanging out because it hurt when I would just touch my fingers on anything. So had to put my whole fist in a club up to my elbow for the second game of the year, and we were playing Kansas that year, and I think somewhere in the third quarter, I ended up tearing my ACL in that game. So that was pretty tough for me, as a team captain and a guy that's supposed to be a leader on the field and leader of defense. At that point you realize, you're not going to play any more football this season. So that was really hard for me. You know, mentally was the biggest part about it was, how can I still be there for my team? How can I show up, or how can I lead the team if I'm not able to go out there and lead by example? Like I've said, that's what I like to do. And it's tough to do from the sidelines. I'll be honest with you. I had some growing pains in terms of my leadership, abilities, because I've never had to do that. I've never had to miss a full season. I've never had to lead from that vantage point. But it took a little bit of adjusting and working with people, working through some thoughts that I was having, and depression a little bit through the injuries. But thankfully I was able to work through that, and I'm thankful for my support system and everybody that helped me, my family, my friends. So that was huge for me. My coaches, athletic trainers at Coastal, they all helped me through that process, which I'm extremely thankful for, because that put me in a position coming into 2020. We coming off of an ACL and broken hand, didn't only played the first two games of the season, and trying to get back right in spring and rehabbing and stuff, and then boom, all of a sudden COVID hits and everybody's in quarantine. I can't see my athletic trainers anymore. I can't go into the facility anymore. I don't got to figure out a way to get some weights. So we ended up getting a squat rack in our living room. Our strength coach brought a squat rack into our living room, and my buddy's dad works at a high school, and he brought a bunch of weights up from Georgia. So we had about 1,500 pounds of weights in our living room in a squat rack, and that's where I did my ACL rehab for the rest of the season, for the rest of that time period that I was trying to recover. So I kind of had to go through a lot of that stuff on my own too, which was tough, because it's easier when there's someone there telling you, okay, don't bend it this far, or only do this many reps and see how it feels, and it doesn't look good. Or when you're going through all that on your own, it's kind of self-moderated. So that was tough for me too. But fortunately, I was able to prevail through all that, and I feel like those times in my living room and working out and at night and early in the morning, just at the house with weights in front of the, I'd cook breakfast, eat breakfast, and then hop right under a squat rack. So it was an interesting time, but it was tough. And fortunately, I was able to come back in 2020 and have a good season that year, and come back from that fight back from two injuries that past season, and come back and have a healthy 2020 season, which obviously was our best season up to that point. So that's kind of something that I've been through that you never want it to happen, and I don't wish it on anybody, but I'm thankful for it, and I'm thankful that it happened because it taught me a lot about myself, and it taught me a lot about persevering and what it means to have resolve, and you know, keeping your head down and keeping focused through training, and you know, always trusting yourself, and just doesn't matter, keep going, doesn't matter, get better, you know. So that's kind of the mentality I took towards it.
Yeah, I mean, it's just great to, hearing you, just kind of talking through like all of that. I mean, I think one thing that I just kind of want to reiterate is we have a guy here in Silas Kelly who is one tough son of a gun, who is battle tested, who you can, go to war with. And you're going to be there. You're going to be a great leader. And dude, if anyone wants to doubt maybe some of those injuries, that injury history, all you got to do is look at 2011. You look at a guy who had 110 tackles, had a phenomenal year. You had really just an awesome year there in 2021, which is one of the reasons why actually we invited you to the Hula Bowl, man. Like, we see this one guy who has some versatility, comes out, has a fantastic year, and we had to give you that invite, dude. We wanted to seriously invite as many Coastal Carolina guys as we
Yeah.
possibly could. Unfortunately, we were only able to get a couple, but talk to me about your Hula Bowl experience, if you don't mind.
Yeah, I was very fortunate and thankful that Jimmy and Damon were able to reach out to me and offer me a position at the Hula Bowl. You know, an all-star game is something to be really proud of, and not everybody gets a chance to go to. So I was fortunate to be able to have that opportunity, and had a great week. You know, playing with a lot of talented guys and a lot of talented competition, and there were a lot of former NFL coaches, and a lot of coaches that I grew up watching, and grew up, you know, watching their teams, watching their players, and people who have been where I'm trying to go, you know. So that was cool to learn from somebody who I watched coach the NFC Championship. You know, that's something that not everybody gets to say. So that was fun. Learned a lot from those guys, and felt like I had a good week. You know, playing ball and picking up, you know, a new defense. Haven't had to learn a new defense in a while, so that was cool to do. And then play a game with a bunch of talented dudes. It was a great experience.
What about those interviews? How did those interviews go for you overall?
Yeah, so another cool part about the Hula Bowl was the interviews that we had with scouts. I think there's about 150 scouts from NFL teams at the Hula Bowl that week. So every drill, every practice, you know, there's scouts lining the sidelines and taking notes, and you know, calling people, telling people about different things, and had the opportunity during some downtime during the week for scouts to reach out to us, and I had a couple meetings with a couple different teams about, you know, just trying to figure out who I am, and learn a little bit more about me, type of football player I am, type of person I am, you know, what motivates me, what drives me, and so that was really good, really well set up, because basically the teams would reach out to me, and I would go down and meet with them, and it was like it wasn't like I was sitting in a room the whole time waiting for somebody to call my name. It was kind of at the luxury of the scouts, at the discretion of you know, whether or not a scout wanted to meet with you. You had that time to either be with them, or be off studying your playbook, or getting some recovery in. So that was a big part of the process.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of them were just lined up, and you went from one to the next to the next to the next,
Yeah,
and so it's like, hey, have you talked to this guy yet? Oh, yeah, you got to go down there. So,
right.
definitely a little bit of wild. I'm not gonna lie. I mean, it's kind of crazy, but I mean, obviously a lot of great scouts. We had scouts from every single league there looking at guys. So I'm sure you talked to almost all of them. So
Yeah.
um, obviously had a great career at Coastal Carolina. We're looking forward to what's happening next. We're looking at your pro day. So give me an idea about what you're doing right now as you're training, like if you were training with any particular coach, or and any sort of expectation or goal you have for that day.
Yeah, so I was training down in I've been training down since January, beginning of January, since before the Hula Bowl actually, down in Fort Myers with X3 Performance and Jordan Llewellyn, training down there and working on combine stuff and 40-yard dash, bench press, pro agility, L drill, all those things that are happening at pro day. Training with them and really focusing on that. And it was neat to go down there and be in a position where I didn't have school, I didn't have anything else to worry about except for totally focusing in on training and becoming the best version of myself. So it was awesome. It was like everything that I've ever wanted to do, in terms of training was down there and at my disposal. So I'm very thankful for Jordan and LB and Nate and all those guys over there at X3 for helping prepare me for pro day. And I feel good going into it. I feel confident going into Friday, and looking to have a big day and maybe turn some heads, because I feel like I'm about to impress some people out there.
Which one of those drills do you think you're going to impress the most with? Is it that 40? Is it that vertical? Is it the bench press? I mean, which one do you think you're going to surprise a lot of people with?
I think I'm going to surprise a lot of people with all of them, if I'm being totally honest.
That's
But
fair.
a lot of people focus on the 40 the most. So I'll say I'll go with the 40. I don't think people are. I think people think that I'm slower than I actually am. So they don't realize how fast I actually am. So excited to get out there and show them what I can do.
Gotcha. Let's take a little bit of time. I do want to meet Silas Kelly outside of this game of football a little bit. See some guitars there in the background. So tell me something about yourself, if you don't mind.
Yeah. So like obviously we've been talking sports and talking ball this whole time. And I love it. I love sports. I love working out. I love athletics and doing all that kind of stuff. But I also love music. And as you can see, I got some guitars back there, and I taught myself how to play back in 2020 when I was going through ACL rehab and in quarantine. So I had a good bit of time to get on there and do that, and it helped me a lot. Just be able to focus on one thing and kind of takes your mind off of other things. Honestly, it's a little bit therapeutic in a way. If I was ever struggling with something in terms of mental process of coming back from a serious injury, I would just sit there and play my guitar and kind of drift away a little bit, get your mind off of things. So that's something that I like to do, and I'm really passionate about. It's just music in general. I'm a huge music fan. Whether it's 70s classic rock, Blue Oyster Cult, Led Zeppelin, or if it's today talking about Camp or Tyler Childers or whoever it is. I listen to a bunch of stuff, so um, that's something that I really like to do off the field is play music and listen to music.
Awesome. Anything else about yourself that you want to share? Any other interests or anything? I mean, you gonna keep this mullet going?
Yeah, I think I'm gonna let it go for a while. See what happens with it. Maybe I can get a hair endorsement one of these days. But yeah, I mean, I'm an open book pretty much. You ask me whatever it is, I'll pretty much answer. There's not much that I'm hiding from people. I love music. I love football. I love reading. I read a lot of books. Love hanging out with good friends and
So what
you
kind
know
of books? What kind of books are we talking about? Like, you have a favorite book or something, or what's?
yeah. So I'll read like fantasy books. I'm a huge Lord of the Rings fan.
Okay.
Um, but I'm reading for the second or third time The Name of the Wind by Patrick Rothfuss. It's a trilogy where he hasn't finished the third book yet for like 10 years, so that sucks. But I also read a lot of mindset and motivational books. um, Atomic Habits by James Clear, that was a really good read. Just got finished reading Winning by Tim Grover. That was another good one. A lot of good anecdotal stuff in there. So just trying to keep improving and getting better at every aspect of my life. Trying to improve in every way I can.
Interesting. So, I just kind of think it's interesting. Other than you as an athlete, you have a pretty well-rounded guy, whether it be a musician or a guy who's very well read and that sort of thing. So I don't know. It's all interesting to me. So
Yeah. Well, I'm a
hey,
smash mouth linebacker, but I also got 3 degrees from Coastal, so I got a little something between my ears.
hey man, that's you gotta be proud of that for sure. Hey,
Absolutely.
as we wrap up, I do want to give you one last opportunity. I know that you sat down with several scouts there at the Hula Bowl, maybe some that you haven't yet, and I want you to look directly in the camera, and I want you to give them your pitch as to why they need to draft you, sign you, and bring you into their program. So tell them what kind of what kind of player they'd be getting if they took a chance on you. So hit them with your pitch.
Yeah, so I'm Silas Kelly. I'm a player that you need on your football team. I'm a guy that will drive other people. I'm a guy that will establish culture in your team. I'm a guy that will give 100% effort every play, every snap, no matter what it is. I'm willing to do anything that it takes. I'll be a starter on every special teams unit. I'm a versatile player, athletic guy who's very smart and can read offenses and knows what's coming and is able to hold a whole playbook and get guys in the right spots on defense. So I'm a guy that will help you all around. Like I said, starter on special teams and can contribute as a pass rusher. I'm versatile enough to help out in pass coverage, and like I said, I can get that whole defense down. So more than anything, I'm giving you everything that I got, every snap. That's my MO. That's who I am. I'm a guy that's going to pursue the ball relentlessly and get after the quarterback. So take a chance on me. I promise you won't regret it.
Yeah, man. I can't reiterate enough everything that we've talked about here. I mean, really one of the I mean no offense to anybody else who came to the Hula Bowl, but really one of my favorite players who came to the Hula Bowl that we were able to bring to the Hula Bowl, and especially at linebacker, you get one tough son of a gun, tough as nails, is battle tested, is a winner, is a very versatile guy that you could use in so many facets. So any team anywhere would be very fortunate to have you on their team. And I just kind of wish you the best of luck in what you're trying to do, man. I mean, I think someone's going to give you that opportunity. It's just a matter of who. So you take it easy and best of luck.
Thank you, Jimmy. I appreciate everything you said, and I appreciate you for inviting me to the Hula Bowl and for having me on tonight.
Sure, man, no doubt. Once again, Silas Kelly, linebacker, Coastal Carolina. Definitely check him out.